Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
Sure. My name is Jessica Rankins. I work for Finance of America Reverse. I've been with this company for 15 years. Our corporate headquarters is located in Tulsa, and I was born and raised in Coweta, Oklahoma, so very familiar with some of that farm life that Deborah was just talking about. I am the AVP of Process Operations here at FAR, so I manage our policies and procedures, operations training, and various other tasks within the company. I do have my DE for underwriting, and I also recently obtained my CRMP, which is a certified reverse mortgage professional designation from NORMLA. All right, so I do want to start by thanking everyone so much for allowing me to join you today and present over how to keep going when the going gets tough. I am excited to discuss this topic and share some useful tools along the way. There is a participant guide that will be provided to you. Ginger, is that in the chat or will be?
Yes, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, perfect. So there is a participant guide that you'll get, and you can use that to follow along today, or you can use it in your own time later. I do hope that you find it beneficial. We will be covering quite a bit of information today. First, we're going to talk about how does stress affect you. Then we'll discuss reducing anxiety in times of stress and turmoil. And last, utilizing techniques for overcoming stress in a crisis. So let's start by taking a moment to think about how stress affects you. You may have an immediate response that pops into your head, or you may not even realize it's affecting you at all. It can affect how we think, how we feel, and how we act. Here you can see on the screen the common ways stress affects us. Fear and anxiety about topics you've not thought about before, which may affect your ability to perform well at work or question things like faith or parenting skills. Over-awareness of things previously overlooked can make you feel more vulnerable or unsafe. Sleeping less, having bad dreams or nightmares, a loss of appetite, or even craving comfort foods is another way it can affect you. Being easily distracted or feeling numb or disconnected can make you feel not quite like yourself. Feelings of anxiousness, fear, sorrow, and even anger are all completely normal, but can be confusing. Try to identify what you're feeling to understand how it may be influencing your thoughts or actions. We may not even realize it in the moment that these are symptoms of our stress. Looking back, you may see now that you have experienced one, several, or even all of these during times of stress. I do have a quick activity for you now. Look at the options on the screen for physical, mental, emotional, and behavioral reactions to stress. In your participant guide, you can take a quick second to mark which ones you identify as experiencing. This information will be helpful for you later. Now that we've identified how we respond to stress and how it affects us, let's discuss ways to reduce anxiety in times of crisis. This is what's known as acute stress or anxiety. It's what's going on in the moment. For example, you're in the middle of handling a hard call, dealing with a stressful project, or have just seen the news regarding a tragedy. What can you do in the moment to help you through the situation? It sounds simple, but taking at least 3 long, deep breaths in your nose, out your mouth, can help reduce anxiety and stress. My favorite deep breathing exercise is 4-6-8 breathing. So you inhale for 4, hold the breath for 6 counts, and then exhale forcefully and completely for 8 counts. Deep breathing activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which is known as our rest and digest functions. The key to doing this effectively is to exhale for longer than you inhale. So blow that air out for longer than you're taking it in. Another option is to go for a walk. Go outside, even if it's just 5 minutes, and get some water. Run your hands under running water and describe to yourself how it feels. Name all the animals, flowers, cities, or even Disney characters you can think of. Look outside and count the trees, street signs, or people. Another is to focus on relaxing your shoulders. Do 3 slow neck rolls in each direction. Stretch your neck muscles for 30 seconds on each side. This exercise I'm going to walk you through right now is called 5 Senses. It provides a way to practice mindfulness quickly in nearly any situation. All that's needed is to notice something you're experiencing with each of your 5 senses. So here's how you do it. First, notice 5 things you can see. Look around, bring attention to 5 things that are in your line of sight. Next, notice 4 things that you can feel. Bring awareness to the 4 things that you are currently feeling. So your desk, your chair, maybe a blanket, your water bottle. Notice 3 things you can hear. Take a moment and listen. Note 3 things you can hear in the background. Is it your coworkers in the office next door? Is it the washer or dryer if you're working remotely? Is it somebody outside making noise doing construction? Then notice 2 things you can smell. Bring your awareness to smells that you usually filter out, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant. Maybe you have a candle burning. Maybe there's food cooking in the kitchen right now, wherever you're at, and you can smell that. Then lastly, notice 1 thing you can taste. Focus on 1 thing you can taste right now in this moment. Is it your coffee, your tea, your water, your energy drink, whatever it might be that you have right there in front of you? This is a quick and relatively easy exercise to bring you to a mindful state quickly. If you only have a minute or 2, the 5 senses exercise can help you bring awareness to the current moment in a short amount of time. What are some ways to overcome chronic stress? To develop a care plan is one way. You'll find a template for a self-care plan in your participant guide. Another would be to journal your feelings. You don't have to write a novel. Just jot down your feelings and get them out of your mind. Positive distraction. This could be a workout, reading, or even petting a puppy. Physical exercise, 30 minutes of exercise, a walk, a jog, lifting weights, or even yoga brings serotonin production to your body. Also, getting plenty of sleep and eating well also helps. I know sometimes 8 hours isn't always doable, but quality sleep is preferred over quantity of sleep. Make your sleeping environment more relaxing by keeping the room cool and having soft, cozy blankets and pillows, and putting down the devices before you try to sleep. Proper nutrition is also key to helping reduce your stress. Processed foods are high in preservatives, sugar, sodium, and artificial ingredients. Try to get your fruits and veggies in, and be sure to drink plenty of water. Lastly, talk to someone you trust. This can be a family member, a mentor, as Deborah just talked about, a friend, or even a therapist. They don't have to be a professional, just someone that you trust that will be a listening ear. Now, we've been talking about stress, but there is a difference between stress and burnout. You can see here, while stress seems to trigger an intense response, burnout triggers the opposite, where you might be over-engaged or over-emotional. With burnout, you're going to disengage and have dulled emotions. With stress, there are more physical damages. With burnout, they are more psychological. Let's discuss burnout a little more and how to repair it. Burnout can feel like every day is a bad day, no matter what good happens. Caring about work seems like a waste of your energy. You feel exhausted all the time. You feel like most of the day is spent on dull or overwhelming tasks. You may also feel as if nothing you do makes a difference. While this all sounds pretty bleak, there are ways to help repair the burnout. First, develop a relaxing ritual to start your day. This time just for you can do wonders. It can be a meditation practice, reading, stretching, journaling, or even just drinking that cup of coffee by yourself. Another is adopting healthy habits. This could include taking short breaks to stretch, or taking a brief walk and in the middle of your workday, or finding time to complete the senses exercise that we just went through. Setting boundaries when you're experiencing burnout is crucial. Take your breaks during the day. Clearly separate your work and personal lives. This can be especially difficult for those of us, self-included, who are working remotely. In these instances, we have to set boundaries on when we're going to start and stop working for the day, and how available we make ourselves to others and our work. Another boundary to set is if you know you're going to be overwhelmed by something, say no. It's okay to say no when it's going to negatively impact you. Another repair for burnout is to disconnect from your technology. Put your phone on do not disturb and set limits for yourself on how much time you're going to spend with technology. Lastly, get support. This could again be a mentor, family, friends, or a professional. Building that support system that you can trust and lean on is especially important in combating burnout. Now we're going to take a moment to identify some strengths and abilities that lead to self-confidence. I'm going to pose the following questions to you. Think about your responses to them and maybe even write them down in your participant guide. Look back on your responses when you might be feeling a little less self-confident than you like. What would your best friend say is your most positive attribute? Could it be how well you listen or how well you encourage and cheer them on? What is your proudest accomplishment? This could be anything from raising a family, achieving a goal, or even perfecting a recipe. There's nothing too small or too large. What is the most positive message you received from someone important in your life? These could be words of encouragement, a piece of advice, a sweet reminder that you're doing a wonderful job personally or professionally. How would you like to be remembered in your life? Write that down and do everything in your abilities to achieve that. Go through life in a way that will allow you to reach this. What single factor boosts your self-esteem? This could be completing a workout, doing your makeup, talking to a friend, dressing in your own personal style. It could be anything that gives you a good feeling about yourself. So, how many of you worked virtually during the pandemic or are working virtually now? I am and did. How have your connections changed because of that? Most of us have or are still experiencing a life that's a little different than what we experienced before. Maybe our support networks have changed a little due to this. Do you have a solid support network? Are there some gaps? In your participant guide, list out your support network and identify those that could help fill in any gaps that there may be. Then list out those people that you can support. You may be wondering, how can I build a support network at work? You can take a proactive approach to this by reaching out to others, show interest in each person as an individual, find commonalities in and outside of the work environment. Offer your help. It feels good to help others, and it will strengthen your connection with that person. Stay in touch. This takes some effort, but it is worth it. The best way is a good old-fashioned face-to-face get-together. A phone call would be the next best thing, followed by an email or a text message. To strengthen your connections, be a good listener. Let the other person do most of the talking. Give them your undivided attention. Paraphrase to ensure your understanding. Paraphrase examples would be what I'm hearing is, or sounds like you're saying. Pay attention to body language. Notice the other person's gestures, postures, degree of eye contact, tone of voice, and rate of speech. Gently mirror these to build rapport. That doesn't mean to cross your legs if they do, but match their rate of speech or posture. If they're sitting upright, don't slouch, which would be considered more casual to their more professional posture. Also, be curious. Find out about what the other person needs and how you can help, and look for shared interests. This slide has an example, and your participant guide has 2 pages to help you develop your self-care plan. You can complete this in your participant guide, or just take a few minutes to jot down 1 or 2 strategies in each section for how you invest in and take care of your physical health, emotional health, spiritual, and social lives. These are some of the things that we discussed at the beginning of this session for activities to reduce anxiety. I would spend about half an hour going through this later today if you have the time. Now that we've covered healthy ways to deal with stress and anxiety, let's check out some typical coping mechanisms that are counterproductive and do not lead to long-term healing. Negative distraction. This could be drinking alcohol or using drugs. Think about your positive distractions to avoid these. Excessive amounts of caffeine. We all know what that does to our minds and bodies. Not giving yourself time to adjust. We all need a moment sometimes. Not talking about it. It does help to talk about our problems when appropriate. If talking isn't your thing, try journaling. Not returning to normal daily habits. Our routines and habits help keep us on track. Try to stick with those even when you're feeling stressed or anxious. Now we're going to look at some strategies for being flexible or for bending but not breaking during the shaking. So why is change difficult? Some people perceive change as a loss and they feel helpless. Some people feel it's personal and directed at them or something they did. And if people believe either of those, they may respond negatively, blaming others and abdicating responsibility. Change is difficult for many people because they equate change with loss. It makes them feel helpless and not in control. Becoming more resilient means changing your mindset toward change and seeing the positive opportunities it holds. One of the best things you can do to embrace change is a change buddy. Find a change buddy. Form an alliance with others or that have a positive approach to change. At the same time, avoid naysayers, people who are opposed to change. Set new goals and adopt an attitude of continuous learning. Force yourself to do and learn new things and keep your sense of humor. As we've seen, people have different responses to change, so proactively adapting to change will mean different things to different people. It is helpful for everyone to identify the consequences of not changing. This can help you gain a realistic perspective and see the benefits of making the change. Figure out what you can and cannot control. For the things you can control, make a plan to implement the change. For the things you cannot control, find a way to make peace. Here are some ideas. Some people may need to vent some negative feelings in a safe outlet before being able to move to actively implementing the change. It's important to note that venting is for a short, limited period of time, then you move on. For others, it's often beneficial to find a link between the past or the present and the future. Another way may be to step up and take responsibility for implementing the change or part of it. And last, use your positive energy to motivate others. One important way to increase your flexibility in thinking is by changing your self-talk. First, notice what you say to yourself. Use milder wording. A suggestion would be to replace hate with dislike or awful with not to my taste. Then change your self-limiting statements to questions. I can't handle this. Change that to how can I handle this? Or this will never work to how can this work? Or how is this possible? Change your negative thoughts to neutral or positive ones. Let's say a lunch date or a meetup was canceled. You could think, now I have time to read that magazine I've been meaning to get to, or I'll call so-and-so and see if she's free. I haven't seen her in ages. Let's say you're stuck in traffic during that morning or evening commute. You could think, this gives me some extra time to think about solutions to a problem at work that's been bugging me. Also, use the same tone you would use with a loved one. Keep the tone optimistic, uplifting, and understanding, rather than sarcastic, pessimistic, or condescending. A suggestion would be, this should be easy. I'm too stupid to figure this out. Change that to, despite how difficult this is, I know I can do this if I keep at it. Or, this time is just like the rest. I may as well give up. Change that thought to, what can I do differently this time so I can move forward? So everything's going smoothly when suddenly you run into an obstacle. No need to panic. You have the tools to overcome difficulties. Set aside panic and negative emotions and think logically about realistic options for resolving or minimizing the crisis. Know that there is a solution. Don't look in the rear view. It's a waste of time and energy. Keep moving forward, no matter how small each step might be. Commit to taking action every single day toward resolving the crisis and or researching your goal. Focus on what you can do, not what you cannot do. Recall recent or past successes to gain confidence about handling the current situation. And lean into your confidence. Reach out to people in your support network and refocus on your goals and how to achieve them. So how do you respond to stress? In general, if you become agitated and hyper, engage in calming activities. If you become withdrawn, engage in stimulating activities. Here are some takeaways to remember. Avoid the stress that you can avoid. Learn to say no. It may make you anxious at first, especially if you're a people pleaser, but taking on more than you can handle greatly diminishes your ability to be resilient. It can be as simple as telling a coworker, You don't have time to chat right now. Manage your time better. Poor time management is a huge source of stress. Plan ahead. Make sure you don't overschedule yourself. Avoid people who stress you out. If you repeatedly argue with the same people about the same topics, stop bringing it up or excuse yourself when the topic does come up. Alter, adjust your standards. Perfectionism is a major source of avoidable stress. Set reasonable standards for yourself and others and learn when good enough is really good enough. Reframe problems. Look at the problem from a different perspective. Will it matter in a month or in a year? Is it worth getting upset over? Is there anything positive about the situation? Change your environment. Noise, light or lack of light, and odors can all add to your stress. Try to create a working environment that provides the ideal setting for you. Accept. Don't control the uncontrollable and don't try. You cannot control other people's behavior, so why stress yourself out trying? Accept that we are all imperfect and learn to forgive mistakes you and others make. I hope you all take the time to set up your self-care plans and utilize your participant guides. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. And yes, we've received a few questions that have come in through the chat.
Okay.
I'll start with this last one that came in from Erin. And Erin says, how have you learned to tune out the negative water cooler chat? She says, or the negative DM chat.
So I have had to do this personally. There are some chats where I'm in at work that's a group chat that I just have to mute the chat. So in Teams, there is an option to mute certain chats, and I will only go in and check that and see if there's anything I need to respond to periodically. I don't make myself available to that all the time. Now, let's say you're in the kitchen, around the water cooler, around the fridge, whatever it may be, and you're hearing negative talk. You have two options here. You can either interject and try to bring positivity to the situation, or you can exit the room completely and not allow yourself to be involved.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.